What's up, guys? Today, I'm going to be covering the fight card of the year. Now, I know you guys are probably excited for the White House card. You were probably excited for that BMF card just a while ago. You're probably excited for that Hamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland card that just happened. But man, I know for a fact you guys are not as excited for any of those as you are for this Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano card. Man, only real hardcores are into this fight. This is a great fight. Plus, Francis Ngannou versus his local can and geriatric Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry filled with CTE. This is a great card. And don't you even forget Rebellis de Spain, failed UFC heavyweight. That's right, failed heavyweight versus 922-year-old Dos Santos. Man, this is a great, great fight card. And I really think this might just compete with UFC 300. I don't think UFC 300 even had this level of excitement around it. So without further ado, let's hop into the best fight card of all time. If you guys couldn't tell, I was being sarcastic. This is actually a decent fight card for a non UFC fight night, but honestly, I'm more excited for the main event of Arnold Allen versus what's his name, Costa, than any of these fights, really. I mean, maybe the Nate Diaz Mike Perry fight is going to be pretty interesting. It'll be nice to see a Francis Ngannou classic slime out, Wash versus Wash in this main event. I don't know. Are there any other good fights? I'm actually excited for Jason Jackson. Jason Jackson, if you guys don't remember, you know what? Let's look at his record. Let's see. Yeah, probably hasn't beaten anyone that good, really. Right? Let's see. Oh, wait. What is that? Oh, what is that? Yaroslav Amosov, if you don't remember him from this weekend's the Sean Strickland, Hamza Chimaev fight card. He just beat who's the Spanish guy? I have early onset CTE from just seeing this Nate Diaz Mike Perry fight on my screen right now, but you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, let's hop into predicting this fight card. I'm going to start off with Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. Now, let's look at Felipe Lins' record because this guy is a marauder. Look at him. He's actually an in-shape heavyweight, which is kind of rare, but look at his UFC record, 4-2, none of them against good fighters. You see, he went off on 4 wins, but again, OSP, not a good win at light heavyweight. Ion Cutelaba, a decent win at light heavyweight, but again, at light heavyweight, and it wasn't a great, great, great performance. Marcin Prachniow, Max Grishin, and then this is what I really want to get to. First round KO by Tanner Boser. That's not good at all, especially if you're about to be in front of Francis Ngannou. I know Francis Ngannou is 39 years old, but he is on that African timeline, and a lot of those fighters lie about their age when they get to America. So I'd bet Francis Ngannou is more like in his mid-40s, I think. And then Andre Arlovsky. How do you lose to Andre Arlovsky in 2020? I know he wasn't fully washed in, but still, you can't expect me to think you beat Francis Ngannou if you're losing to 2020 Andre Arlovsky. And all his wins, I'm pretty sure all of them were at heavyweight or light heavyweight, right? Yeah, all of them were at light heavyweight. Hasn't fought since 2024, so it's not like he has the activity advantage over Francis Ngannou, which would be the only reason I would think about picking him. He's been just as active, if not less active, than Francis Ngannou while fighting worse competition. Because at least Francis Ngannou in boxing, fighting Tyson Fury, fighting Anthony Joshua, even if he got slimed out, fighting what's the guy's name? The PFL can who just got slimed out again. Not a great win. Let's see what his name was. We're getting a little off topic here, but I have to remember his name. Renan Ferreira. Yeah, not a great win. And now let's look at Francis Ngannou's. Renan Ferreira, like I said, slimed out by AJ. Tyson Fury, he should have won that fight. Ciryl Gane, Stipe. I don't know why I'm comparing resumes. This is an easy prediction. Classic Francis Ngannou slime out. He's going to leave Felipe Lins, palms up, looking up at the bright lights. I feel bad for him, but that should be pretty interesting to see a classic Francis Ngannou slime out. Now, on to this CTE versus CTE matchup. We have Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. The weigh-ins just happened today, and I can't lie, it kind of switched my pick because I wasn't sure who I was going to pick, but I was leaning Mike Perry just because of the physicality difference. But Nate Diaz is looking in crazy shape right now. Actually, let me see if I can pull up a picture of his weigh-in. Yeah, here they both are weighing in. Tell me the last time we've ever seen Nate Diaz in this type of shape, and I'm not talking about since he's left the UFC. Oh, it's been a long time. He's never been in this type of shape. He genuinely might be on that regional scene sauce. Insane. This is bigger and leaner than he's ever been. Yeah, certain dudes both juicing. They have to be. I already knew that Mike Perry was juicing on the regional scene, but Nate Diaz has never looked like this. My biggest concern for this fight was the physicality difference, but after seeing those weigh-ins, I don't know. I don't think Mike Perry's gonna have that much size over Nate Diaz. Plus, when I think about it this way, who is more likely to have, since they left the UFC, even though they've both only been in boxing matches since they left the UFC, who's more likely to have been practicing, jujitsu still, to still be practicing the wrestling, still be practicing an overall martial arts skill set? Nate Diaz. He's a lifelong BJJ black belt. Mike Perry, I can definitely see once he left the UFC, never training anything except boxing ever again. He probably thought it was a dream, a gift to not have to worry about anything but boxing ever again. Whereas I know Nate Diaz has been training. His cardio was still elite. He showed that in the Jake Paul fight. And I know what you're saying. It's Jake Paul. Jake Paul mauled Mike Perry in a boxing match too, which is what Mike Perry has been training. Nate Diaz, he lost clearly, but it was way more competitive. He showed he still had that cardio, pushing the pace in the later rounds. Yeah, I don't know. I think even though Mike Perry is younger than Nate Diaz by a lot, I think Nate Diaz is 41, Mike Perry's only 35. I see Nate Diaz pretty easily beating Mike Perry now. And Nate Diaz has fought better opponents since leaving the UFC, I think. I know it's only been Jake Paul and what's his name? Masvidal. But Masvidal is a better boxer, especially juiced up regional scene. Masvidal is a better boxer than anyone Mike Perry has fought after leaving the UFC for the most part. For the most part, especially recently. Let's see who he's fought. Mike Perry has fought Jeremy Stevens, really a fifth round TKO, and it wasn't like a knockout or a like brutally knocked out or anything. It was just from damage from bare knuckle. They're wearing gloves here, so that's not going to be as big of a factor. And then before that, all the way in 2024, Jake Paul, where he was mauled, knocked down a bunch, took so much damage. Thiago Alves, Eddie Alvarez, Luke Rockhold. None of those are the MVP one is very impressive. That's really impressive, actually, but in a different rule set. But still, that's really impressive. But all these other guys, I don't really rate their boxing, and they're way smaller, all of them, than Masvidal, except maybe Eddie Alvarez, but still. And I know they're all on the regional scene juice, but so is Nate Diaz. Yeah, I think I have Nate Diaz winning this one, actually. I'm going to pick the underdog. I'm pretty sure Nate's an underdog. I'm going to pick Nate Diaz by a classic late rounds, plus 5 5-minute rounds. These BKFC fights are 5 rounds, but they're 2-minute rounds. No grappling either. That's way different. Nate's shown he still has his elite cardio. I don't know if I can count on Mike Perry having that. Give me Nate Diaz. Now we have, and I can't believe I'm breaking down these fights like they're serious title contender fights with actual meaning, but here's where we are, and that's what we're doing. Now we have Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. This is a fight that made me realize, why am I breaking these down so seriously? Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano in 2026. Now, Gina Carano lost to Cyborg. That's her only loss in MMA. However, she doesn't really have any good wins either. Now, don't get me wrong. Ronda Rousey isn't a great fighter, but let's look at the wins Gina Carano has. Lost to Chris Cyborg in 2009. Didn't beat anyone good. Yeah, completely left the game. I don't know why, besides her being attractive to a lot of people, I don't know why she's a name in MMA. Yeah, that's really the only reason. She's attractive to a lot of people, and I can't really see Ronda Rousey, however, she got her fame from, even though she lost to Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes by brutal slimeouts, she was also a reigning UFC champion, fought way more recent than Gina Carano. Ronda Rousey at one point was actually good, and I know she was fighting the cans from the 90s. Not the actually the 90s, by the way. I'm just joking. From the 2010s, but I don't know. That's still better than anything Gina Carano has done. And Holly Holm has stayed athletic, competitive, not competitive, but in WWE, juicing on the regional scene. She's definitely juiced up for this fight as well. But she stayed in WWE. She's shown that she still has that athletic bone in her body. She still has that drive too. If you see them at the press conferences and everything they're talking about, Gina Carano is kind of taking this as like, oh, a good opportunity for, to make some money, get her name out there again. Ronda Rousey's acting like this is her opportunity to win back the UFC belt and become the 22-time reigning champion, the GOAT of the sport. She's taking this very seriously, way more serious than I think Gina Carano is. Gina Carano is nowhere near as good as Holly Holm or Amanda Nunes. Hasn't fought as recently by a long shot as Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey has stayed in athletic ventures, while Gina Carano has went into acting, not really done anything athletic. There's no reason for me to pick Gina Carano. Maybe she'll fluke it, but even Ronda Rousey's shadow boxing, you know her famous shadow boxing, it looks a little better. It's still horrible, but it looks a little better than it was before. So give me Ronda Rousey, and I'll do it by her iconic armbar in the first round. Judo throw into an armbar, first round, submission. That's what I have for this main event. And I can't believe I just broke down the Netflix MVP promoted by Jake Paul MMA card. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. You disagree with anything I said? Francis by a first round KO, Nate Diaz by a late rounds TKO, or maybe just a decision. Ronda Rousey, first round submission, judo throw into an armbar. Let me know what you think. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.